Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes. Good morning, Marlene.
All right.
Wednesday.
Time to wake up. It is hump day after all.
It is hump day. It's been a crazy week so far in terms of there's a lot happening in our nation. But thank God we've made it to Wednesday. We have this day to go and then 2 more days before the weekend, for the weekend starts, and I always look forward to the weekend. So much to look at, so much to cover in terms of what has been happening in the news.
Well, of course, to start off, the House meeting ran into early this morning.
Yeah, I was wondering what was happening. In fact, after we left the news studio yesterday, in my mind, I was under the impression that the House meeting was over, and then I began scrolling social media, and I saw people commenting, well, why is it that House meeting is still on? And this was after 9, and I took a look, and I was like, wow, yes, they're still on. And then I saw comments about minutes to 12 this morning indicating that the House meeting was still on, and so yes, that went past 12. I think at 12 a.m. exact is when they finally gathered for a little segment they would do before closing. And so I'm not sure if the opposition got to raise issues at the adjournment in terms of important matters.
They would have had some energy on reserve there. It was a marathon session yesterday, and there was a lot that has to be unpacked. Unfortunately, by news time, we weren't able to get all of what's in. We'll have that follow-up today, the highlights that you can be able to see.
Definitely.
And there were several bills, amendments that people were looking forward to hearing debates on. Of course, the primary one is the amendments to abolish the post of the Director of Health Services. And this is one of the issues I think that has really garnered the attention of the public because we know that the current DHS, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, was such a staple from the start of the pandemic in our households. And so with the change of administration and the indications that he would no longer continue in that post and all the disruption that took place there, this was yet another story in this drawn-out saga. But we do have, I believe, some video clips queued up for the introduction of those bills. So we're going to have that. This happened a bit before news time last night, so let's check that out.
The Public Health Act to the Public Health Reform Act, and to provide for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Madam Speaker, very briefly, this bill will see the amendment of the Principal Act by deleting the words Public Health Act and replacing it with the Public Health Reform Act. It will also see the deletion of the term Director of Health Services and the substitution of Director of Public Health and Wellness. It also provides for the appointment of the Director of Health and Wellness and medical officers by the Public Services Commission. Madam Speaker, as I indicated before, this bill we expect will allow for institutional reorganization of the ministry, which will also allow for a more efficient and effective leadership and management of the health system countrywide, and will allow for an inclusive team approach to the many issues being dealt with by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
All right, so that is part one. There are a few more videos that we do have, video clips, I should say, of the presentation of the amendments in the House. So if we have the other one queued up, we're getting that lined up for you. But as we said earlier, this happened later on after the media had left. So this is something that we're bringing to you now so you can put it all into context, especially with the conversations we're going to be having today.
Yes, and the key purpose, it appears, according to the minister, has to do with some institutional changes. And after we listen to that second video, perhaps we'll get some more clarifications.
I guess to put it all into context, what happened yesterday was that the amendments were put forward to be able to separate the responsibilities of what the Director of Health Services was first allowed to do. So there is an introduction of 2 new posts, a Director of Public Health and Wellness and a Director of Hospital Services. So the DHS used to have responsibilities for everything that was put forward for amendments yesterday. So they have now designated things like regarding hospital services under the Director of Hospital Services, and then other elements under the Director of Public Health and Wellness. So instead of 1 Director of Health Services, there'll be 2 directors with separated responsibilities.
Yeah, you look at the scope of the responsibilities that the Director of Health Services had, and it was definitely a lot under his umbrella to manage and to lead in terms of what he had to do. And so what we will do is get right into that second video.
All right. Have the video lined up so we can go to it. There we go.
All in order to satisfy their political mandate. But I'd love to hear what is the urgency and why this Standing Order 49-1 is being abused.
Mr. Speaker, there is no abuse as alleged by the leader of the opposition. What is intended here, Mr. Speaker, is to allow for the institutional reorganization at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Mr. Speaker, which will lead to a more efficient and effective leadership and management of the healthcare system throughout the country, Mr. Speaker. We cannot wait anymore. The health system has been abandoned was abandoned for the past 13 years by the opposition, Mr. Speaker. It is time for us to move forward. It is time for us to take the health of this country seriously, and it is time for us to deliver the health services that the Belizean people deserve, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members,
All right, so there you have it. That was the leader of the opposition, Patrick Faber, raising a question of what was the urgency of getting all these bills passed in yesterday's reading.
And we know that the opposition has been heavily criticized for their stance on the DHS position and their stance on Dr. Manzanero in particular. And so it's yet to be seen who will fill those 2 positions that has now been created. It's yet to be seen, and this will be a part of our discussion, our first discussion this morning, which we will tell you a bit more about.
Yeah. No, I wanted to run through very quickly just some of the amendments that have been put forward. One was something that we were made aware of in the cabinet brief, the last cabinet brief that came out, which was the amendment to allow for a KHMH, a union member, to sit on the KHMH board. So that amendment was introduced yesterday. That was something that I'd imagine all are satisfied with, because the union has been asking for a space at the table, but of course the composition of the board is outlined within the KHMH Act, and so therefore they have now changed it to be able to allow for a union member to now be have representation on that board. The other amendments that were introduced included the Medical Services and Institutions Amendment Bill, and that would then have the responsibilities there tied to the new post of Director of Hospital Services and Allied Health. And the Medical Practice Amendment Bill would then be also under the Director of Hospital Services and Allied Health. The Antibiotics Amendment Bill, didn't even know we had an antibiotics bill. That responsibility goes under the Director of Public Health and Wellness. The Quarantine Amendment Bill now falls under the responsibility of Director of Public Health and Wellness. Social Security Board The responsibilities of the Director of Health Services there is now being proposed to be placed under the Director of Public Health and Wellness. The SHOPS Amendment Bill is also under Public Health, the Director of Public Health and Wellness. Chemist and druggist as well under Director of Public Health and Wellness. And dentist bill now falls under Public Health and Wellness, as well as the opticians bill and the registering of nursing homes bill.
Oh,
So these are, as I said before, in being able to kind of just outline it, it's taking all the responsibilities that once fell under the Director of Health Services, who currently holds the post, I believe, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, is now being separated into two different directors.
we know the opposition's position on this, which we heard in the meeting last night, in that the opposition is saying they support the move to restructure the KHMHA board to allow for a union member to be on that board. However, they do not support the replacement of the term DHS to now mean Director of Health Service. And it's ironic that it's still DHS, however, it's no longer the Director of Health Services, it's the Director of Hospital Services. And so we know that they don't support that for their own reasons. Another
We do, I mean, I think that, you know, when we heard the Minister of Health and Wellness talk about the fact that these laws were created a long time ago, and very often when amendments are brought to the table, brought to the House of Representatives, this is what is discussed. Or laws, you know, that we know they're quite outdated, and they were
very
created in a time
antiquated.
where the demographics and the needs and the concerns of the country were different.
Yeah.
I think that if you look at it from just the perspective of perhaps this is too much responsibility for one post, it seems like a very logical move to be made. But I think you can't separate it from what we have seen playing out publicly for the past few months. And I would say, you know, even before that, from the campaign period where when the current administration was campaigning, they did start to drop comments that, in fact, that they were thinking of replacing the DHS if they were elected to office.
Right.
And it has been clearly something that they've not been able to resolve directly. And so this seems to be a move to remedy the situation of replacing the DHS. And this is the assumptions, I think, that the assumption that the public now holds.
Right, and the assumption that the opposition has been pushing as well. It's yet to be seen what will happen to the former director of Health Services, since there's no longer that office.
Well, this is, I mean, this still has to go through the whole process.
Senate,
so
correct.
as far as we know, he is still the Director of Health Services by title.
Yes.
We'll get some clarification about that in our conversation today, and that's what makes it just so confusing as we see all of this taking place.
Yeah, and the former DHS, he has been quite a bit silent in terms of we've reached out to him for interviews to kind of get a feel of what he's feeling, what he's saying. We know that he was in shock at the announcement of this one office being divided. That's as much as he told us. And so we're yet to hear from him, and he says when he's ready, he'll give us that interview. But if we could, just for another huge thing that came up in the House yesterday, another one of the bills has to do with the super bond. That one is big because we've been hearing about it in the news. We've been hearing about the proposals. We've been hearing about the background work that the government has been putting in to get rid of the super bond per se. And so what we know is that the government is planning to spend some $363 million to buy back the super bond at a discounted rate, to establish a marine conservation endowment account, and for another, and also for a third item. And so to spend this money, they would have had to go to the House to get approval basically from the country to say, hey, there's $363 million that we want to spend to buy back the super bond at a discounted rate and do several other things. Even though it's not necessarily monies coming directly out of the public's coffers, these are monies that are being sourced through TNC and their bank, Credit Suisse. So it's interesting to see that even though that's the case, because it's a public transaction being undertaken by the government of Belize, that they do have to go through the House of Representatives to spend that money. We know to date that 86% of bondholders have tendered, according to the Prime Minister, tendered their bonds, and so we have 86% of bondholders basically endorsing this move to buy back the super bond. It's big for the country in that, according to the Prime Minister's speech, there's some 250 million US dollars in savings that the nation will see, and in a time when we're facing such a strenuous economic situation, this definitely seeks to bring some sort of relief to our economy here, our local economy here in Belize. And then, of course, it's all about the marine conservation aspect in terms of this endowment fund, which basically is an investment fund being established for the purpose of marine conservation, and really saying that whatever capital, investment capital, is made from this investment then goes directly into marine conservation. And so that's a huge thing for the conservation community. And so we saw that bill finally reaching the House yesterday.
Yes, and of course that was after they were able to secure, as you said, the bondholders agreeing to the terms
definitely.
of the discount. That is such a big accomplishment. You know, I think there are so many substantial matters that came out of the House meeting yesterday. It was so prolonged, and the majority of the debate earlier today, which I think consumed so much time, was the discussion regarding the supplementary appropriation bills.
Yeah, indeed, and that indeed took up a lot of time. We see the government going back for money, basically saying we've pretty much run out of funds, and in order to finish this fiscal year, we need the House to approve another amount of finances.
Well, you know, and I think so. We'll have some more breakdown of this in the newscast tonight. So we
definitely.
did want to start off with that, and so it is interesting to see the debate around the supplementary appropriation bills. I think this is such a key factor. I can recall in the past that this has always been an area of concern when this administration was in opposition. There were always concerns that you create a budget and then you come back and say, you know, you need additional funds for particular purposes. One of the points that was pointed out was that they did provide, in fact, some of the information as to what the additional allocations would be used for. But I thought yesterday's House meeting especially was one of the times. There were a bit of theatrics, you know, things did get testy at some point. Once again, we saw challenges to the speaker. It's very unfortunate. And she keeps on saying, which I hope is something that they will proceed with following up on, that even the orders or the protocol within the House, that's outdated and also needs to be adjusted to today's reality. But for the most part, I think it was a healthy debate that was taking place.
Yeah, and just to bring another one of the highlights, briefly looking over another one of the highlights from the House meeting has to do with the repatriation bill. Just briefly to say that in listening to the Era Representative Curdell Hyde in making mention of this bill, basically has to do with holding responsible former slave owners in terms of the injustice that was done and that was caused upon nations across the Caribbean, in particular in terms of slave ownership, and at the point of where there was emancipation, the bill is basically saying that these former slave owners have a responsibility to compensate basically these countries where they held slaves, because they have contributed to underdevelopment, to different social and cultural issues. And it's one of the things that is being looked at, because we know that in Jamaica that cases have already been filed in European courts against such things. And so for me and for the nation, I know that that's one of the bigger, more progressive bills that we saw
Yeah.
introduced.
And it is a part of a CARICOM initiative,
Indeed.
to be clear. But I do think that this is something that I look forward to us unpacking more. The conversation about reparations in Belize, we've had some here or there, but I don't think it's the same thing like when Emancipation Day came around. I think people are just starting to get access to the information as to why moving away from a commemoration of Columbus Day towards something like Emancipation Day is so important to us and our ancestral history. So I think that as we move forward, being able to talk about this deeper and help to build a better awareness and understanding, it's going to be really helpful to all of us. That's part of our cultural identity as Belizeans.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And so switching a bit from House meeting to
Other news that's
other
taking place,
news,
yeah.
definitely one of the more real-time issues affecting us is the COVID-19 pandemic. And in the news for the past couple of nights, we've reported that a well-known pediatrician in Belize, Dr. Eck, is currently hospitalized. And in speaking with one of his colleagues and good friends last night, Dr. Cuellar, we learned that Dr. Eck's condition continues to deteriorate. In fact, he had to be intubated. I believe it was sometime yesterday. First, he was just on oxygen treatment, and as his condition continued to deteriorate, he had to be intubated. We know that Dr. Cuellar is working closely with another one of his colleagues to monitor the condition
with Dr.
of
Hidalgo and
Eck.
Dr. Arriaga.
Right.
I do, it's interesting. I want to first off say to the family, who I know very well, of course, our prayers and our thoughts here at this station and of course across the country is for the speedy recovery of Dr. Eck. Dr. Eck has always been someone so helpful, especially to the media. I mean, he's really become a public persona in offering himself to provide guidance on any medical-related issue that affect children, which is his area of expertise. And so, in addition to all the parents who have worked with, who have gone to Dr. Eck accessing treatment, some of those children are now parents who have gotten seen him for his care. I think everyone across the country is just really hoping for the best. It isn't another example of how serious getting COVID can be. And I reflect on the last time we had him on, it was the Ministry of Health show, Get the Facts, where he was here and he spoke, it was when the Pfizer vaccines were being rolled out and they were trying to, another example, he had his medical career, but he did ensure that he provided information to the public. And I remember him talking about just, that the public needs to understand that this disease, it can be very severe and how important it is for them to do all that they can to prevent themselves from getting it and to protect themselves adequately. I do want to say very often when we hear of people on a ventilator or requiring mechanical ventilation, which people just call intubation, but we often think worst case scenario. We can go back to Ingrid Vega, who was on a ventilator and did successfully come off and is now in recovery. And there are others as well who have been put on mechanical ventilation and able to come back. So this is not this is something where I believe that if we can continue to send our best thoughts and wishes out to him and to his family, because it is difficult to have a loved one in the hospital where you can't see them or talk to them or have that personal interaction, that that they can know that our thoughts are with them.
There's no doubt that he has some of the best doctors in our country by his side, and so that is some sort of comfort in terms of knowing that he will get the best care,
Yeah.
that he needs to recover from this virus. Dr. Cuellar sought to drive home the point last night of getting vaccinated, and so he used that moment that we spoke to him to remind people that it is important to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Vaccinations won't necessarily cause you to stop you from contracting the virus, but what it does, it offers us that layer of protection. And the more people we see vaccinated across the nation, the greater protection we have as a people. And this story also highlights the fact that doctors, healthcare workers are also at risk. And it's unfortunate that the risk doesn't only present itself in the hospital, but it also presents itself among the larger population outside of the hospital, where these doctors have to traverse on a daily basis, I would imagine.
Yeah, and we hear it from all the medical professionals. Here's the thing, we're all, for the people who are vaccinated, one, don't let down your guard. We're almost at the point, I think we have over 200,000 persons who are either fully vaccinated or have received a dose. So they're on their path to getting vaccinated. So about half the country. So those of us who are vaccinated, please, of course, continue to be extremely careful in your interactions, because yes, you may still contract COVID. What the vaccination does for us who's fully vaccinated is that it gives our body a better fighting chance. And we see in the deaths that are reported that even if you want to go ahead and count those who are fully vaccinated, the majority of deaths so far, it's still for unvaccinated persons. The majority of hospitalizations, it's still for unvaccinated persons. And as our good colleague, Marian Ali, shared with us after her hospitalization, she is sure that her vaccination is what helped her to get through and fight this disease to be able to still be with us today.
And so it highlights a fact.
Yeah.
It highlights a fact, and that fact is clear that the persons that are dying are those, in the majority, in fact, are those that are unvaccinated. And so the Prime Minister has said it, ministers have said it, that there is enough vaccines in country for the entire population to get vaccinated, those who qualify to get vaccinated, of course. And so, that's a somber way to end off that discussion.
Yes, and we do have to get moving into our show. We had an extended opening as we did want to bring you some of those highlights from the House meeting last night. So let's get moving into some motivation to get us started on this hump day, and that means it's time for our Eye Opener. And our Eye Opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. The more conscious we become, the more we deepen our relationship to the words we choose to use. Words carry energy, and this gives language its power and its potential to heal or hurt. Most of us can remember a time that someone sent a word our way, and it stuck with us. It may have been the first time we received a truly accurate compliment, or the time a friend or sibling called us a name, but either way, it stuck. This experience reminds us that what we say has weight and power, and that being conscious means being aware of how we use words. You may notice that when we speak quickly without thinking, or rush to get our ideas across, Our words don't carry the same power as when we speak slowly and confidently, allowing those receiving our words time and space to take them in. When we carefully listen to others before we speak, our words have more integrity. And when we take time to center ourselves before speaking, we truly begin to harness the power of speech. Then our words can be intelligent messengers of healing and light, transmitting deep and positive feelings to those who receive them.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think what it highlights is the power that lies within a great conversation comes from listening. We spend so much time, I think, in conversations trying to get our point across, trying to ensure that we are heard, that our voices are heard. And what the eye-opener for us this morning is saying that if we take some time to listen to the perspective of others in conversation, we'll then be able to find ways to better craft our responses, and we'll be able to find words. And then it speaks a bit about slowing down your speech. I think that's a critical part in whole conversation understanding. Sometimes we speak so fast.
Yeah. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah,
But
same.
I think that but it's different for television, and I
Yeah.
think that's always
Yeah.
for me. It's always turning on and turning off, because active listening, for example, requires a lot of time and space and thinking
does.
and considering what you're going to say. TV, quiet time is dead time, so we use those sparingly.
Yeah.
So it is a very different reality for us here. But I do subscribe to the fact, very often it is the words that people say to us that we carry with us most, more than the actions, hands down.
Indeed.
So use them accordingly. But we got to get moving into our weather update for today. We have Francisca Wellington on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
I am great. It's the middle of the week, so we're going
Yeah.
towards that weekend slide, and you'll tell us what we can expect as we do so.
Okay, so today we'll see fair and warm weather conditions, meaning we'll have a lot of sunshine and very little rainfall.
Good.
And that will extend through tonight. On winds out of the east and southeast, 5 to 50 knots, and producing light top seas.
And what about those temperatures?
Okay, I said the word warm.
I heard it.
We'll be seeing 89 Fahrenheit along the coast this afternoon, 94 inland, 82 up in the Maya Mountains. And then for tonight, we'll be seeing 82 along the coast, 74 inland, 68 up in the Maya Mountains.
Okay. Now give us that advanced scoop. We understand there's a change in weather coming up. When do we
right.
start to see that in the next few days?
Okay, so we'll be seeing that as early as tomorrow. We'll start out tomorrow morning as today, fair and warm, but towards afternoon, evening, we'll be seeing those changes starting over inland areas with an increase in showers and thunderstorm activity. And then by nightfall, that will be spreading to most areas of the country. And that's because we have a prefrontal trough coming over us,
Yes.
right? And then early Friday morning, we'll be seeing the actual cold front crossing us.
Why?
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, but I see the temperatures forecast for the weekend. It's not so cold. you gotta tell the atmosphere come better than that.
I think on Saturday we'll see the real coolness.
Okay.
Because
all right.
Friday we'll still be seeing some shower activity coming over, but Friday morning I believe we'll be seeing that dip in the temperatures.
But it will come with rain.
Yes, because of the prefrontal activities.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Are we going to be seeing a lot of showers? We had some slight flooding last week, so.
I don't believe it will be as much as that.
Okay. All right. And is there anything else we need to be monitoring in the tropics?
Well, not at this time, but we stress again, don't let your guards up because hurricanes can form on the tail ends of these cold fronts. So stay guarded.
We'll do so. Thank you so much for that update today, Francisca.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a fantastic day.
Thanks, and same to you guys.
Marlene, I think you saw my smile when we started talking about cold fronts.
I'm a big fan of cold fronts. I think everybody who watches this show knows that. So I was
Are
a bit
you?
disappointed. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
A bit disappointed it wasn't so low, but I'll take it.
You'll
I'll take it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little.
And perfectly timed for the weekend.
Reminds us of Christmas as well, which is
That's right.
fast coming.
All right, we've got to get moving into our show for today. And as we said, we'd be diving a bit deeper into some of the presentations made in the House, the proposed amendments to the different acts that will remove the post of DHS. This morning, we're going to be getting the perspective from the president of the Public Service Union. He's in studio with us, so Dean Flowers will be sharing their perspective.
Then in our second segment, we'll have a conversation surrounding cancer, considering it's Cancer Awareness Month, and we'll actually have with us a cancer patient, and that cancer patient will be giving us a testimonial of their cancer experience, and we'll also have the Cancer Center, Dangra Cancer Center, and the Belize Cancer Society with us. So the second segment will be all about cancer.
And then we closed off highlighting a business that offers a wide range of organic products. We're talking from drinks to granola, and I'm looking forward to the sampling. We'll have Fused Bistro in studio. They'll tell us all about how they got the business started, how it's been going, and how you can purchase it.
Yes.
So that's how we're going to be closing off the show for today. We're going to go ahead and take that first break, and when we come back, we'll be sitting down with the president of the Public Service Union. So please stay tuned.
We have been a partner with Smart for over 10 plus years. We have a full Smart plan we use as our major driver for our business. We have a service that rolls over in that if you call one and it is busy, it rolls over to the next line. So once you call us, you can get us at any time. Before we got this Smart service, we were paying upwards of nearly $2,000 in phone bills. Since we've had our Smart service, we pay an average about $600. So we've had tremendous saving, more than 50%. For the businesses, if you want to save money, switch to Smart because it is far more cost effective and the service is excellent.
Smart continues to be innovative in bringing new technology and meaningful savings during these challenging times to businesses across Belize. Sign up for our VoIP technology or broadband packages and save more.
Good morning, sweetie. It's time for school.
Are you a teacher or public sector employee who is thinking of owning your new home? Get the keys to your new home with Belize Bank's all-inclusive mortgage, the best financing option in Belize for your new home purchase or construction. Inclusive of all mortgage-related fees, no down payment, affordable terms, amazingly low interest rates. Visit our nearest branch to speak to one of our financial advisors to discuss how you can be one step closer to owning your new home. Some conditions apply.
The continued fight against COVID-19 requires the continued practice of public health measures across all sectors and in every community. Frequent and proper hand washing, wearing face masks, and physical distancing. Do you know who is not physical distancing? The Aedes aegypti mosquito. Did you know that dengue is the most common mosquito-borne viral disease in the world? So let's get to work. Use window and door screens to keep mosquitoes out. Change the water in vases and scrub inside surfaces to remove mosquito eggs. Avoid using saucers with potted plants to prevent collection of water. Securely cover water barrels and drums with mosquito netting and properly fitted covers. Scrub the inside walls of water barrels and drums with detergent 1 to 2 times per week. Walk around the outside of your home and remove or overturn containers that can collect water and become breeding sites. Mosquitoes only need a small amount of water to lay their eggs. Remove unwanted cans, bottles, buckets, or used tires. Other items still in use must be properly stored in covered areas to avoid water settling in them. Clean roof gutters and air conditioner trays. Debushing and removing tall grass from around your home or establishment is also key to reducing mosquito populations. Fight the bite and protect yourself and your family too from mosquito-borne diseases.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back.
Yes, and so we're back, and as we promised earlier, we have with us President of the Public Service Union, my brother from Belmopan, Mr. Dean Flowers. Mr. Flowers, good morning and welcome on set. I think it's been a while since you've actually been in studio with us, correct?
Yes, a couple months, Paul.
Yes, a couple months.
But good morning, Belize, and thanks very much for having me, and I look forward to the conversation this morning.
Obviously, we're here to discuss some very serious issues in a limited span of time, and we want to capitalize on that. So jumping right in, if you wouldn't mind, on the topic of the DHS and the splitting of that, the dividing of that office. Just your initial thoughts and the position that your union has taken on seeing this move by the government.
Okay, as it relates to the position of the DHS, and I want us to be very clear about when we speak on that position and the recent amendment, in that we do our best to address the processes within the public service rather than who is being affected.
Right.
And so from a public service union standpoint, the only point in time that we will put forward a defense for an individual is before the commission or before any other disciplinary body or whatever we need to provide that representation. What concerns us as it relates to this current situation is the manner in which it is being done. And I say that because we've seen precedents set whereby one HOD, speaking specifically about the control of customs posts, whereby that was changed from a 106 position to a 107 position. It politicizes the post. It also disenfranchises ordinary public officers who are of the belief and who have the right to matriculate into those heads of department position. So that is where the Public Service Union is concerned about. Now, when we look at the DHS post, it is being split, but we still do not know the specifics of how the entire ministry will be reorganized. We don't know who will be placed, and all that we can hope for is that qualified people will be placed and people who are deserving of those posts. So I don't want people to think that our position is in defense of the holder of the office, but rather we're in defense of the process in which the government has undertaken to address the current holder of the office.
There's much speculation about the route, what was introduced in the House yesterday, that essentially these amendments, where the one role of the DHS is separated into two separate roles, Director of Health Services and Allied Health and Director of Public Health and Wellness, that while if you look at it on the surface, it seems to be a logical approach to split the responsibility, but many will speculate and say this is simply a means to an end to be able to remove the current person holding the DHS post. Do you share that opinion?
I must and I absolutely share that opinion because that is the fact. It is the fact that the current individual or the current holder of that office, for whatever reason, there seems to be personality differences. I am clueless about what is the current holder's crime against this administration.
Have you had engagements with him?
I have had several engagements with him, and I want to debunk the ministry's and the government's assertion that there is too many rules for this one individual. So unfortunately, I just got a hold of this. This is the organizational structure of the Ministry of Health. And you'll see, Marlene, that there is the DHS at the top who answers to the CEO. Supporting the DHS, You have a deputy DHS who is responsible for nursing, licensing of nurses, of course, family and community health, accreditation, dental health, HECOBAB, pharmacy, Southern Regional and Western Regional. That's a deputy director that deals with all of those. You have another deputy director of Health Services, and the first person that I spoke of is currently Nurse Bell. You have Dr. Mori, deputy director of Health Services. He's responsible for epidemiology and surveillance, nutrition, vector control, public health, Central Medical Lab, Northern and Central Region. That's his portfolio. Then you have the Director of Policy and Planning and Prospect Management, who is Dr. Zuniga. He's responsible for health partners and prospect management. The DHS post, as you can see here, directly responsible for NDAC, control of medical stores, health and information system, and drug inspector. So this nonsense that the government is now putting out there, that there is so much for this one post and that this one individual. Now, was the current holder micromanaging? It could be, but isn't it then the duty of the CEO to ensure that that micromanagement, if that is what was happening, stops, and that these individuals are held accountable in accordance with their portfolio, in accordance with what we're paying them to do?
That's an interesting point that you're making. So what you are putting forward is that essentially the roles were already separated based on the deputy DHS that was in place, and the other roles that have been designated here. It's too small for me to read.
Yes.
But the other point, though, is the issue of replacing the Director of Health Services is a process as a public officer. And it seems to be one that could not be resolved all these months later.
Unfortunately, it could not have been resolved because clearly the leadership within the Ministry of Health, whether it be the minister or the CEO, did not take the time to understand the structure within the Ministry of Health, as is taking place within many government ministries. It is not only in the Ministry of Health that we're having these interferences with the professionals who are supposed to do their job. And we keep speaking about the need for CEOs, and including ministers, to be indoctrinated, properly indoctrinated, to understand how the service functions, so that we do not go through these costly exercises. Because at the end of the day, this process will cost the Belizean people a lot of money, and it may very well cost us lives, because there is now a disruption in the provision of service, and very important services for that matter. I can tell you that since the sidelining of the current DHS, I'm pretty quite sure you guys have heard little or next to nothing of the deputy DHSs. So where have they been, and what are they doing? There's currently the same level of interference within the Central Medical Lab, and that is concerning for me, because we're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with COVID, and here we have a Minister of Health, and from time to time we see the CEO. I really don't know to what extent she operates and acts in the ministry, because really and truly she has been missing in action. But I have here September 3rd, 2021. The CEO in the Ministry of Health writes to a medical laboratory officer and say to him, "You are now the boss in the Central Medical Lab. You are now the boss, effective September the 3rd. Now, she has no such authority. Any authority to appoint and act rests with the commission. Only the commission can appoint you, can act, can discipline you, can fire you, and can appoint you to act. Here we have a memo from the Ministry of Public Service via the Public Service Commission, who appointed another officer to be the head of the Central Medical Lab. So clearly they're having problem with the acting director of medical lab. So what do? They illegally appoint their own, using their own appointment, September. So I am saying, Marlene, that the issues unfolding within the Ministry of Health is bigger than the DHS, and it is not only the DHS that is being affected by the kind of high-handed and heavy-handed approach that the government is undertaking currently, as we can see clearly there. If it is that, as the Prime Minister said and as the Minister of Public Service said, that the role was too big, I can say to you that just recently, when the Deputy Comptroller was installed, they increased the amount of assistant controllers to 9. We now have 9 assistant deputy controller of customs. They increased the amount of deputy controller of customs from 2 to 4 because there was always 2 and they had 1 post vacant. So now we have 13 people, assistant and deputy, supporting the control of customs to ensure that that office and that unit functions properly. Isn't it the same thing then, and the same approach that we should have exercised in dealing with these individuals? So this situation in the Ministry of Health is a personal one, and it has nothing to do with efficiency and improving health services. No other than the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and the World Health Organization, funded by the World Bank, was working on an integrated health services. This is, if you notice this paper, 18th to the 19th of February 2020.
Last year.
Yeah, last year. COVID stopped this. The PAHO delegation was in country, and they were assessing the current structure in the Ministry of Health. They were doing an assessment of how the regions were functioning, and then they would have embarked to further improve that. So there's a concept paper on what needs to happen within the Ministry of Health by PAHO and WHO. So what we're seeing currently is an administration that's getting its way rather than being guided. They talk about being guided by science and being guided by the experts. Clearly nobody took the time to read this concept paper from PAHO.
Does this concept note outline, I haven't seen it, so I'll ask, does it outline the organizational structure of the Ministry of Health?
No, if you look at the front page, it speaks about the 3 components. And after they would have, after they would have addressed those 3 components, then the issue of human resource allotment and assignment would have taken place, because it is from this very concept paper that we came up with the whole concept of regional managers and so on. And because what I understand from this concept paper is that it also attempts to make these regions autonomous and let them be able to function effectively. So you have to hold people accountable. Have they tampered with that? Yes, because I can tell you, as I made comment earlier last week, the Ministry of Public Service continues to utilize its authority, which is vested within that ministry, to appoint regional managers. But we currently see, just like we are seeing with the acting director of lab services, whereby individuals who have no authority from the Ministry of Public Service now controlling these regional centers. So it's chaos, and my concern is not, I'm not concerned about the individuals, I'm concerned about the process and how it affects the quality of service that people are receiving.
Yeah. And I guess that's my next question, because when you have, as you've brought with your documentation today, processes that have been circumvented that you know must be employed for the establishment of these particular roles or for the appointments in these particular roles, what is the role of the union at that point?
And that is why we're having this conversation today, because unfortunately it is until thing collapses, it is until people start to be negatively affected that they come to the union and they provide to the union these supporting documentation. The union, while we have membership in almost every single department and ministry, the information is not always forthcoming. And unfortunately, we have to have a crisis for people to come forward and produce the kind of information to highlight where the administration is going wrong and awry. Why this fear in the public service, Marlene? People blame it primarily on victimization and politicization. I acknowledge that.
Well, I was going to say, let's not pretend that there aren't persons who are appointed to posts in the past under both administrations. It has been a practice. The practices that have been continued in the country that were not helpful towards being able to have the type of development we want?
We cannot shy away from the fact that the public service has been politicized.
Yes.
We cannot shy, and that's why the Public Service Union has written to the House Committee where the 10th Amendment is concerned to say to them, your proposal for the restructuring of the Public Service Commission is flawed, and it simply continues the politicization. The Public Service Commission should be insulated from anything politics. They are not to be influenced by anybody. It is clear within the Constitution. Their decision making is supposed to be at all times autonomous and never influenced by any outside forces. So what we are saying where the 10th Amendment is concerned, and if we could fix the Public Service Commission and insulate that body and provide for that commission to have its own secretariat, then we would be on our way, Marlene, to stop this nonsense of appointing people and promoting people who are not qualified to those posts. But it starts there. And so,
but coming back to the commission, do you believe that it is that autonomous body today?
It is not autonomous. It is not an autonomous body. I can say to you that currently, because the Ministry of Public Service functions as the secretariat of the commission, cases are stalled. The commission deliberately stalled. As a matter of fact, we have proof to show that under the past administration, there were individuals within the Ministry of Public Service signing on commission letterhead without the commission even knowing that case not reached there. And that is the current situation now. I can tell you, since taking up the presidency, we have written to the commission on several matters. And we get a response from the Ministry of Public Service to say we don't feel, or we're responding on behalf of the commission, but we didn't write to you. We have exhausted the process where the Ministry of Public Service is considered. So we have to go to a higher body. But they're stopping these processes because they function as the secretariat. So under the previous administration, it was rampant. Under this administration, it continues. And so we're hoping, Marlene, that once we get to the issue of reform and reforming the public sector, that we can properly address the Public Service Commission to ensure that that commission functions as it should. Currently, every single individual other than the union appointee is a politically handpicked individual. That's the sad reality.
But with a union representative there, you are able to know definitively whether or not, a person having a political alignment doesn't mean that their behavior will be, well, I should say, we would hope they would be able to differentiate whatever subscription they have to a political party in the actions or duties they're asked to execute. Having a union representative there, you know if that's the motive, or you'd be made aware.
Well, we would be made aware, and at times we are made aware. But like I said, the current representative on the Public Service Commission for the Ministry of, for the Public Service Union, his term is coming to an end. We will be definitely looking, I will say as president, I am not totally satisfied with his reporting. I make no apology to say that, because I am not satisfied with his standard of reporting and his engagement with the union. So definitely we will be seeking, or under my leadership, I will be putting forward a motion for a new replacement to be placed there to ensure exactly that, Marlene, that we ensure that that commission functions to the best of its ability, or as much as possible in an autonomous and independent fashion.
Going back to the two new positions in terms of the DHS, what sort of involvement does the union expect to have in terms of identifying and filling those two new positions?
Interesting. I took the liberty, and forgive me for all this paper, but I took the liberty
we
because
like documentation.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and thanks for that. I took the liberty to just highlight a section of the PSR which speaks to promotion. A public officer shall not be promoted to a post for which he is not qualified. The commission, in considering the promotion of a public officer to fill a vacancy, shall base its decision on the following. So I'm hoping that for those two posts, that individuals who are highly qualified and competent will be promoted to those posts in accordance with regulation. Now, will Dr. Manza be offered one of those posts? I don't know, because the information is
I was going to
conflicting.
ask, doesn't that now make him redundant if his post no longer exists?
His post has been made redundant
Yes.
by virtue of what they have done. However,
What's in the process, yeah.
does the duties of the Director of Health Services, are those duties abolished? No, they're simply being split. So the post is redundant. He is not redundant. So perhaps we can do a quick review of Minister Shabat's comment. He'll now, and I think he made this declaration on your show, he would be in charge of what they refer to as international affairs in the ministry. Now, I don't know where international affairs fall within the whole scope of these two posts. Clearly, those posts do not speak directly of international affairs, so it wouldn't appear that he will be the holder of one of those posts. But the Honorable Shabat also said that, and where is that? Yeah. As it relates to Dr. Manzanero, he has been offered one of the directorates, but is yet to respond. The Prime Minister goes on to say there is communication.
Did you confirm that with Dr. Manzanero? Or we don't
As
know as yet?
late as last night, I have been in contact with Dr. Manzanero. There has been absolutely no communication with Dr. Manzanero since March of this year. Not by the Minister, not by the Ministry, not by the Prime Minister. So I printed off these news clips of the Prime Minister talking about conversation, the Minister talking about making an offer, you know, and all of these things are misleading and deceitful because there's no truth to them. Absolutely no truth to them. There is no truth to that he has been offered something, one of the director posts. So I'm not here to call the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health a liar. I'm here to simply prove that their comments to this country is untrue, and it begs a lot, it leaves a lot to be desired coming from those officers.
Well, you know, I think one of the things is you're clearly saying, and that's why I said documentation matters. Had there been conversations or correspondence written, they would be able to provide that. But the matter is, and coming back to it, because you said that the expectation is that while the post of Director of Health Services will now be deemed, once this process is finalized with the amendments, will now be deemed redundant, it doesn't make the person currently holding the post redundant, which means he is eligible for one of these posts, especially given his rank within the public service. Let's talk about other options. I've heard you say publicly before that based on the current structure, those who now hold deputy director posts should be the persons assigned to this post. Explain that for us.
That is the process or the structure that is in place. The public service regulations informs you that when a vacancy arises, you ought to do an assessment to see if you can fill those posts from within. You do not simply run outside and try to bring in new people. You try to fill those posts from within. If there is nobody competent and able enough within the wider public service, then you go out and you find that person. So that's the simple reason why I brought that section of the regulation, to say that in the coming days, and perhaps in the coming months, we will know whether or not this was always a plan by this administration to bring in individuals from outside to head the Ministry of Health, when in fact we believe that we have competent people inside. There will be a lot of restructuring because clearly these deputies, their post itself will have to now change, which brings me to a very interesting question. You have two directors. Now, who's in control? Who's the boss? And if I am a deputy or a middle manager, who do I report to? If I'm not happy with this director, which the legislation as it appears seems to put both of them here.
What's the new organizational structure?
Will one be placed on 27 and create another anomaly as we have with the current director of BTS, and one be placed on 25 or 26? I don't know. And I mentioned 25 and 26 because it's important for the Belizean people to know that these new posts will cost us within the region of $80,000 to $83,000 per year. That's approximately almost $7,000 per month. So we're not to deal with small change here. On time when on government, they tell public officers that there is no money, that they have to strong arm 10%, that they have to cut the supplies. In the appropriations bill yesterday, I was hoping that 30 million would have been allocated for the return of our 10%, because clearly the actions, these type of actions, do not suggest that there's any real intention by this administration to control the wage bill and to restrict the unnecessary hiring within the Ministry of Public Service. And while I'm on that, Marlene, I must also point out that since November, we have credible information that even the fisheries administrator, who is a HOD, has not been functioning in her substantive post. She is currently assigned to a unit, project unit. We haven't heard much noise about that. And one must ask the question, why haven't we heard what's happening in the Ministry of Blue Economy, whereby the fisheries administrator is now within a unit? And there's a lot of rumors surrounding there why no noise is coming out of there, but I'll report back to you if another anomaly is concerned there.
Not only, the union plays such an important role. And I know we've spoken before about the need for membership to grow and for people to understand what the regulations set out for public service. So the reporting structure when things don't go according to plan is something that should be, I would imagine, a system that you have working well. So hearing about it and then actually having complaints come up to the union, why is that? Why is there that disconnect?
Again, when I joined the Public Service Union, I took every opportunity to attend meetings and to inform myself as to the role and functions of the union. So I know how the union is supposed to operate. Unfortunately, a lot of our public officers are not well versed with their roles and responsibility, not only their rights. They're well versed of their rights, but a lot of them are not well versed with their roles and responsibility. And part of that role and responsibility is to ensure that the system functions properly. And one of your watchdogs within the system is the Public Service Union, because we have a direct link with the government via the grievance procedures, which stems because of these irregularities and irregular type practices. But and also there is the issue of confidence. Yes. There is the issue of confidence. A lot of public officers have expressed during conversations, whether in the past or present, that you know what, they do not have confidence in releasing information, and hence the reason why we've been pushing for the Whistleblowers Act. So that, fine, you don't have confidence in releasing this information to executives within the union or leaders within the union, then you can do it via the Whistleblowers Act.
Yeah. Well, we are out of time. I just want to give you the opportunity to tell us what happens now.
What happens now, of course, Marlene, is that we look to see how the Ministry of Health improves based on this new proposal. There's a lot of issues going on there. Our nurses are suffering. And I want to say to our nurses this morning that we hear your cry, where the overtime situation. Yesterday I received a barrage of texts that it would appear that there's now issues again with the nurses overtime and the people within the Ministry of Health overtime in terms of how it's being calculated. Nurses study leave are being denied. We have are being not denied, sorry, but is being threatened. We have nurses who have qualified to study in Taiwan. The process for them to get their approval, the school year has passed. They're still here. Why would we not be supporting the professionalization of, why would we be putting in place all the roadblocks to stop these people? Yeah. So with nurses, we have to, so I want to say to our nurses that we're addressing their case, especially how they're being treated. And we will see how these new 2 posts now impacts on the overall enhancement and improvement on the Ministry of Health, which I will say has always been one of our headaches in terms of ensuring that it's functioned properly. So that is what we'll do forward. And I end off by saying the month of November ends on Friday. And to date, the Public Service Union nor the joint unions have received any correspondence from the Office of the Prime Minister as it relates towards 6 months financial
Right.
review of
That
government
was one of the
finances
complaints.
to deal with the projection and our 10% cut. And I want to say to public officers that we're on that ball. The joint unions are having discussions, and we await between now and Friday to see if we will hear from the government for us to do a comprehensive review on what has occurred since November to now as it relates to government finances, so that they can get back their 10%, or else we may very well have to start talking about oiling our machinery once again.
Well, Dean, thank you for coming in. We covered a lot in such little time, but there's still much more to discuss. But thank you for sharing your perspective.
Thank you very much, Marlene. Thank you, Beliza. It's always a pleasure, and I'm always available.
All right.
And looking forward to future conversations. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take our break. And as October comes to an end, we must have this conversation about cancer awareness in our country. We'll have that after the break, so please stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor, and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky, and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Are you looking to invest in a growing free trade economy with ideal geographical positioning and existing economic partnership agreements with countries around the world? Perfectly nestled between Central America and the Caribbean, Belize is open for business with over $500 million in investment opportunities in industries such as agriculture, aquaculture, tourism, and much more. Register today to participate in the Belize Investment Summit 2021 and find the investment opportunity that's right for you.
Bundle the fastest, most reliable, unlimited broadband in Belize with your prepaid or postpaid mobile plan or Netflix. You can bundle your broadband with your prepaid and enjoy 50% off all national calls, plus get SMS and data. Paid plans? Then bundle with any speed and pay only $25 extra monthly to enjoy unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 500 minutes, plus 6,300 megabytes of data. Stream unlimited HD movies and TV shows with our broadband, plus the Netflix add-on for only $30 monthly, and enjoy streaming on your laptop, TV, phone, or tablet. Visit a smart showroom near you to sign up or upgrade to the bundle that's right for you. Smart, bringing people together.
Imagine going through your entire day without the burden and risk of carrying cash on you. Belize's shift to digital wallets has begun with eCash. We can now skip the cash when collecting money or paying for our essentials, all while using a fast, easy, and secure platform. Simply add funds to your wallet via bank transfer or at an agent, and you're good to go. You will be able to make quick, easy payments simply by scanning QR codes. And best of all, it all happens just like that. Payments are as easy as clicking a link online or scanning a QR code. Download the eCash app from the Google Play and Apple App Store today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. The future is here with eCash. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257 to find out more.
The truth is, when the invitation was extended, I was excited. Generally, I like to volunteer. I like to take an active approach in being a part of the solution. It was a welcome opportunity simply because whilst we talk a good talk with respect to achieving gender equality in the workplace, this was another opportunity for me to be a part of that movement, be a part of that discussion. I like to be reminded that we have other people who are willing to bring the issues to the forefront. And in attending the Engaging Men and Boys Workplace Training session, that is what I took away. We have male figures, male role models, successful males in our society who are no longer willing to subscribe to the archaic, patriarchal, solely male-dominated way of living, but to understand that we are equals. Even here in the magistracy, it's the same. We have an all-star female cast leading the judiciary for the first time in the history of Belize. And it's welcoming, it's eye-opening, it's refreshing. My biggest takeaway is, whilst we have come a long way, we still have a longer way to go. But I'm comforted by the fact that I was not the only driven male in that discussion. And to hear like-minded males speak on the issue, to hear that passion, it comforts me knowing that we do have a way forward, assisted by men. But I wouldn't want to think that 10 years from now we'll be having the same discussion. It shouldn't be.
And we're back. We have with us to have a discussion surrounding Cancer Awareness Month. We have in studio with us Ms. Laura Tucker Longsword, and she is the president of the Belize Cancer Society. We also have with us, joining us via Zoom, we have Nurse Deloni Pascasio, and she is the CEO of the Dangriga Cancer Center, and we have cancer patient Chelsea Munoz also joining us via Zoom. So a host of women. Good morning, ladies. Good morning to you all.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
And we have a guy in our midst, so we're off to a good start this morning.
We'll let him handle it.
All right. So, Ms. Longsworth, Cancer Awareness Month, how significant is this to the Belize Cancer Society? We know that we're in a pandemic, and I could imagine how this adds some strain to the work of the Cancer Society and the challenges that this perhaps also brings to cancer patients in seeking help.
Yes, and I like that you said that, because really at the core and center of everything that we talk about and we do are our patients, those persons who need us desperately. Well, historically, October has been our month, you know. The Belize Cancer Society, historically, we chose October. In fact, our founder, Juliet Sobranis, was a breast cancer patient, and she is the founder of the Belize Cancer Society. And so October was the month, and she died in October. So we always think about her and all her good work. And even now, the Cancer Society, we normally have a breast cancer walk. And we started out in October, but it rained so much, we had to shift to May, and it still rains. But anyhow, and so we have kept October for our organization as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so October is our pink month. Pink in every way. Our guys say, what happened to blue? But that's all right. The Prime Minister and Excellency Briceño has taken on that aspect, and that's wonderful for them to be stepping out. I think that's a really important step. So, and so the Belize Cancer Society, in recognition of the serious problem with cancer in the country, we have continued to work throughout the pandemic. And you can see where that would mean that we have grave difficulties with fundraising. We have to say thank you to those donors who responded to letters.
Yes.
Patients, as Delone will highlight, continue to be seen at the Dangria Cancer Center, the Belize Cancer Society, the oncology unit at Carl Huchner, and all over.
Yeah.
We at the Belize Cancer Society have been doing patient navigation to out-of-country care, both for adults and for children. We have been very busy. And what did that entail? Working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working with the Ministry of Health, and working with immigration to get our people across the border to treatment out of country and back. Thankfully, and you'll hear a little bit more, we've had to innovate. And so a lot of that, we found ways of giving children treatment in Belize rather than sending them abroad. And now that's a wonderful thing that has happened. We don't have to do that anymore.
Just to bring Nurse Pascasio into the conversation, CEO, you play such a critical role in the Dangriga Cancer Center, plays such a critical role in offering treatment to cancer patients. Have you guys, what sort of uptake have you seen in receiving and the admission of cancer patients to the center, considering the pandemic and even the restrictions with the borders opening?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and it was one that really was concerning to us initially when patients were unable to get to their providers across the border. For those individuals that we did not see before, but they were in treatment and could not essentially continue their treatment because of the limitations of crossing the border.
Right.
So we absorbed a number of those patients, not only for the provision of medication, but the provision of oncology services in totem. I would say that because of that level of continuity, many of our patients did not have to have delays in their treatment, and therefore they successfully finished their treatment. And unfortunately, some of the limitations had really to do with if they were prescribed the radiation portion of their treatment. But essentially, there was no interruption in their care. And as Laura indicated a little earlier, we had to absorb and assume care for a number of pediatric patients who got caught in the border closure, and we were very concerned because the little ones are even more sensitive to delay in care, particularly because of the nature of the treatment regimen that they were receiving. So to answer your question, we have seen an interesting uptake, but thankfully that uptake is shared between the oncology unit at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital and the Dangriga Cancer Center. And essentially, Dr. Yakab would refer a patient that he thought we needed to see, and we would refer a patient that would require higher level of care. So that has worked rather well. It is not sustainable over time. We have to deal with, how do we move forward, particularly because we are still in a pandemic.
Yes.
And we have to plan for what will happen if the pandemic continues, and if we are not able to kind of curb the spread of the disease, because it puts our cancer patients, both adult and children, at greater risk.
That's right.
Just to bring Chelsea into the conversation now a bit, if you would, Chelsea, for those of us who may not know, just to share a bit about your journey with cancer.
Thank you. So I shared my story a couple years ago on the same show, but on December 16, 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 2A Hodgkin's lymphoma. So for those of you that don't know what that is, it falls under the same umbrella as leukemia. It is a blood cancer. So I had a lump on the side of my neck that was very alarming. And that made me go to the doctor and get checked. I didn't even know about lymphoma before that day. So now that was like where it all began. I had to travel to Merida every other week to get treated. I had to do 12 sessions of chemotherapy that came with a lot of side effects and unimaginable pain, of course. But even though I had to go through all of that, which I think would have definitely been the toughest challenge in my life, I still pushed through it. And having a great support system, like my family and my community in the island, they supported me so much, people from San Pedro. And I think that really pushed me and helped me. And I also think that groups like the Cancer Society and doing cancer awareness campaigns like the ones I've participated in make a positive impact in the lives of those that are fighting this sickness, and it did for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that, you know, it's so important what you have shared with us in the past and even today. You are a young cancer survivor, so a really important reminder that cancer affects people of all ages, and that with proper treatment, people can still live a good quality of life and live their life to their full potential. The challenge for us has always consistently been access to treatment, affordability of treatment, and I want to pose that question now. Just, it seems to me that there are more persons being diagnosed with cancer in this country than we're able to treat.
Well, I think you can look at it both ways.
Okay.
In terms of a public health perspective, it could be that we have improved our detection services.
True.
And so you always have to look at what services are available to us as a population.
Yes.
And that's a good thing for us if that is, because there indeed our diagnostic capacities have increased. You have more personnel, similar to the Belize Cancer Center Dangriga, who developed a service out of need.
Yes.
You have within the public and private sector services being established because of need. And so people are now coming forward for detection and so on. But we still have a problem though. One, we don't have a national program that's consistent and launched with protocols that we can all, at least with care services or packages that we can access.
Yeah.
And secondly, the countries, low resource countries, or patients are the ones that get very sick and die.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned access.
Yes.
There's access. Some people can say, oh, access, okay, so we have mammograms.
Yeah.
But do you have access? And so there's a difference. So WHO
having it in country and being
is different,
able to get it.
Right? It's beautiful, but then you have to have true access.
Yeah.
And so that means that if you need a mammogram, if you need a PAP, if you need a colposcopy, whatever it is you need, you have to have access.
Yeah.
Because that is what's going to reduce morbidities or sickness.
Yeah.
And our late stage diagnosis. Because, and Delone will speak to that, because a lot of our patients that come to us are in late stage cancer. And that's why our mortality rates are going up, our morbidities increase, and people are in trouble. And we have to remember, Belize is a country, our people are poor.
Yes.
And so while some of us will be able to source finances to do certain things, others will not. And others will have to choose between their families and themselves, and then what? They die. And our people with cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer, we have people in their 20s coming to us with late-stage cancers. We now have a phenomenon that's seen throughout the region. The Caribbean, and Belize is no exception, where we have younger women with breast cancer in their 30s. So what is the protocol in terms of screening? Those are the things we need to have.
Yeah.
And very importantly, we must use the data that we're collecting better. We have to be able to analyze our data and share it so that we can do whether it's interventions, targeted interventions, and so on. So that is exactly what the issue is, having access to cancer care.
Yes.
As a human right, by the way.
Yes, I do appreciate that. And let's not forget to mention one of the most important facts that you've stated, which is the prevalence of breast and cervical cancer, which are treatable and can be detected early as well.
Yes.
You know, Delone, I'm sure you have so many stories you can share of people who've come in with late stage because they haven't been screened.
She's passionate about that, yes.
Yes. Tragically, this is true. Dr. Yakaba and I were having a conversation earlier, and we both noted that the age range for breast cancer has dropped significantly to where we are seeing really serious cases between the age ranges of 25 and 50 or 55. And these are not necessarily cases that are of the lower stages. We're talking about stage 3 and stage 4 cancers. You know, you have a patient that walks in and say, I have this lump, and you open the clothing and you see this fulminating lesion on the chest, and you ask the question, how long has it been there?
Forever.
And the answer would be, well, I've had it for a while.
Wow.
I would say that a while would be a year or so, if not more. And that patient has probably been struggling with, what am I supposed to do? What am I seeing? Laura mentioned something, because I'll tell you, for us, we're kind of on the tail end of this cancer treatment spectrum. You know, we're kind of the tail of the donkey, if you will. The continuum of cancer care begins with prevention.
Yes,
there we go.
And it would be our absolute joy that we did not see any cancer patient for treatment, because it means that our prevention mechanism is working efficiently.
Yes. And I want to get Chelsea's perspective here as a cancer survivor. Chelsea, you are so young, and I know that it had to be such a traumatizing experience to consider that you could have been robbed of your life by cancer if you didn't have access to treatment. How do you use this experience to educate others about being aware of screening options and being proactive about seeking out a proper diagnosis?
Good question. Yes, at first, like I said, I didn't even know about Hodgkin's lymphoma before I got diagnosed with it. I saw a lump on the side of my neck, and my first instinct was to try to figure it out on my own, instead of going to the doctor to check it out. So I believe that a lot of people, when they see like unusual stuff like on their body, things that, you know, that are alarming, their first instinct is to, okay, let me try to figure it out myself. Which I think that if I had waited longer, then I probably would have had a harder chance to fight this sickness. So because I had gone to the doctor sooner, and I was diagnosed sooner, I had a better chance at fighting this disease. So I think that, yes, getting like being aware of your body is really important and not taking it lightly. And especially now, more than ever, like younger people are getting diagnosed every day. 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. A lot of young people in Belize have reached out to me asking for advice, asking, like seeking, you know, where do we go now? Because they have been diagnosed with cancer, or there are weird symptoms, like they're experiencing pain. So I try to encourage younger people and older people to don't take those things lightly, to go and get checked. And there's a lot of like preventative like measures you can take. For instance, like with your health, I think that plays a big role. What you eat, what you put into your body, even like stop smoking, avoid secondhand smoking, because some people are like, oh, I don't smoke, but they're still secondhand smoking.
They're exposed, yes.
They are exposed. Limit your alcohol intake and just get screened. Doing yearly checkups.
Love it.
Even if you don't see anything on your body, just still going and taking that extra care to know what is happening in your body.
I love it. I just love that response. I just absolutely love that response, because it starts with wellness.
Yes.
It starts with wellness, and you know, the Cancer Society has constantly been addressing issues of nutrition in children, banning of sugar-sweetened drinks, and so on. But indeed, she's right. We have to watch our harmful use of alcohol, reduction of tobacco, but even now, another risk factor that is quite prominent is environmental issues, environmental contaminants in the air in your surroundings, or mental health.
And the one we don't like talking about, obesity.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization has in fact confirmed that obesity, which in Belize, 2/3 of our country at the last in data is either overweight or obese. And that is actually a one of the contributing factors, to cancer.
Well, you know, Belize is higher than the region in terms of obesity rate for women. Like, so it's higher. So it's a problem. And so obesity is important. And even now, for all, remember, cancer sits in that framework of non-communicable diseases, and we don't speak about that framework enough. I think we are, look, I think 60% of our deaths from in Belize from non-communicable diseases, cardiac, diabetes, and so on. And now we have an infection. We started out a century ago with infectious diseases. Through vaccines and public health measures, we brought those things down. Although you have outbreaks all over the world, brought it down. And now we have the pandemic again, an infectious disease that's limiting our access to wellness cares.
These very same populations.
That's right. And so we have, it's like a double whammy, literally. And so it's very important to understand that we have limitations in terms of how we can go in for wellness checks. But that conversation must begin, because we are having people who are now, their diabetes will be worse, their pressure will be higher, and their PAPs, they're not afraid to go in for a pap smear, and their cervical cancers will increase. Look, we have a lot of cancers per year, you know, new cases. I think in 2010 we had 350 or 360 new cases. We had 57 breast cancer cases just from the BHIS. That does not include from private sector.
Or people who access care outside of Belize.
And we've had deaths, so lots of deaths. So it's very important for us not to take on this issue of stigma. We still have people who are, afraid, and all of us are afraid of entering a health facility now, but we have to take care of our bodies.
I can't, you know, because I've not walked in the shoes, so I don't know. But the idea of stigma for some of our illnesses that we have, like cancer, or even with COVID, some people are scared to talk about COVID. It's one of the things that can really...
It's part of human behavior, really.
But I want to, let's bring this, I think, to a proactive point. I know that we can talk about the severity of cases you're seeing, Delone. We are blessed to have access at the Dancrega Cancer Center and now the oncology unit at KHMH, where people like Chelsea coming out, a young face, reminding people that even young people can face the consequences of a cancer diagnosis. And I know the Cancer Society has been working behind the scenes helping patients. But let's talk about those people at home who've done nothing to check their bodies, who've not gotten a pap smear, don't know about a breast exam, refuse to do a prostate exam. The list can go on and on. What do we say to people about what we can do to prevent or detect early cancer in our bodies?
Well, I think that we perhaps have to do what we're doing now. With COVID, we have to be deliberate about taking care of ourselves. And we have to do everything because there's some cancers that come no matter what you do. That's what happens. And so we've got to do the right thing for our bodies. And I challenge us as individuals in our homes to really take personal responsibility and really throw aside that little thing that says, I don't want to know, because, you know, we Creole.
If I don't know, enough
well, it does.
That's what you say, right?
Yeah, we don't want to know, so I enjoy myself. No, and I want to know, but then you get sick. I think it comes with personal responsibility. And of course, the services are there. The Cancer Society is always ready and willing to share information and preventative measures, but focus on prevention. What vaccines are there that you can have for your child? I was very happy to learn from my daughter-in-law, for instance, that my 10-year-old granddaughter had already received her HPV vaccine. And I look forward to the resumption of that service to nationally, because our children need that in terms of the prevention of cervical cancer in later years. And so I don't know how Delone feels, but I think we've got to prevent. We focus on nutrition, good nutrition, checking our breasts in the mirror, reacting at the first sign. We don't take, and our sexual health. You know, really making sure we limit our sexual partners. If we have a vaginal discharge, bleeding from anywhere, it's abnormal. Don't take things for granted. And the big thing is for breast cancer, it's not only self-exam, and that's very important because that's how many lumps are discovered. But if you have a nurse or a physician that you can see, a clinical breast exam at least once a year will help you. Right?
And for you, Delone?
I have to echo positively what Laura just said. In addition, however, we have to acknowledge that we have to come back to the conversation of access. To do proper breast health, you have to have proper access to diagnostic tools. And in many of the regions of Belize, for instance, in some of the regional centers, sometimes the tool works, sometimes it doesn't.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you have, if you do a clinical breast exam and there's something suspicious, you want to send that patient for a further diagnostic evaluation. The regional centers may or may not have the capacity to do mammograms.
That's right.
The burden of having to send a patient to a center where they can do a mammogram might be cost prohibitive to that patient. I would say that in order to help our preventive effort, we need to have open access to those diagnostic tools that can help us to identify very early if something is going wrong. I would say to the Ministry of Health that the communities need assistance to what I call plus up the measures for diagnosis and early detection in each of their regional facilities. not necessarily the community, because the community facilities feed into the regional centers. But if you have a regional center that can give you a mammogram, you can get an ultrasound, that you have physicians that have adopted clinical breast exams as part of their visits when you go there, that will ask you when you go to the pediatric pediatric unit, has your son or your daughter gotten the HPV vaccine? The providers need to help, because the individual person needs that support, needs that reinforcement, needs that intentional conversation, okay, about, did you do this? Did you remember to do that? How are you feeling? You know, is there anything that you want to talk to me about that you feel anxious about? This conversation encourages individuals who may be afraid that they have a person who is willing to listen to them. And that begins the process of identifying if something is going on, and that you know that confidentially someone is going to shepherd you through the process, because the public health process is very daunting to a lot of individuals. And you need easier navigation, and some of that is provided by the guy that you're talking to, that you call your doctor, who is interested in making sure that you have the kind of support that you need to sustain good health. Okay, that I would say that we really need now to look at how do we improve this partnership with the Ministry of Health, because they're the ones that they have the most centers across the country, and therefore they have the ability to open more access to individuals who ordinarily don't have access right now.
And to integrate care. It's an issue of integration, you know. Once you enter the clinic, you know, they ask those, like a checklist. Have
like
you had this? Have you had that? Have you, in addition to pressure, you had a pap, you did, you know, and pick up on those things. Because you might never see that person again. So you've got to, once that person enters that door, you've got to do this comprehensive assessment.
Well, we have to close off the conversation. I know there's so much more that we can talk about, but we are so grateful that you came in to tell us about this state that we are in right now. I know that your organizations both need support all the time.
All the time.
So we can do that final call. Of course, how people can help the Cancer Society and the Cancer Center.
So, Delon, you didn't say anything about the expansion of your services to Belize City, but we'll come back and talk about that another time. But please, we need support, human resources as well as financial resources. And Marlene, thank you all for having us. And if you know, we need a good PR. So if we, maybe we can get volunteers from your organization to help us document some of our stories. That would be wonderful. I just want to ask everybody to be safe, and want to thank all our amazing donors, including those special donors that we will do a special sit down with you on, who have provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to put in an extension of the Belize Cancer Center at the clinic here. So, and that's that story that will be coming up in probably 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So I just thank everybody. I want to really ask you for your financial support. Everything that comes to the Cancer Society, the resources go into providing services or maintaining the office of the Belize Cancer Society.
All right, well, ladies, go ahead.
No, I just want to thank you, Marlene, for the opportunity to have this conversation with not only with our colleagues that are aware of the fact that we are here, but also, I mean, Chelsea, it's just lovely to see you.
Always so pretty.
To see you. Absolutely, and you know, you're a beautiful survivor. And I hope that you continue good health, and that you continue to encourage others to join you in some of the awareness activities that you initiate in your community.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We do hope that people have at least latched on to the idea that we must start paying attention to our body, take the initiative to get tests where we can, and ensure that we at least know whether or not we're at risk for cancer.
Certainly.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and I think you have actually set the background for our next conversation. We have with us in studio the makers of Fuse Bistro Organic Products. So all about healthy food that should be delicious. We'll tell you after the break when we have that conversation with them. So please stay tuned.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says the 4 and 20 elders fall down before him that sat on the throne and worship him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power. Did you know that salvation is a free gift of God? But there are 5 crowns that God promises to give for faithful service to him. In today's scripture, we see 24 of God's elders bowing and casting their crowns before his throne. If the Lord should come today, what would you have in your hands to cast before his throne? As a teenager, we used to sing, Must I go in empty-handed? Must I meet my Savior so? Not one soul with which to greet him. Must I empty-handed go? Oh, friends, before God puts things in our hands, so often he has to remove others. Martha Nicholson said it best, One by one he took them from me, all the things I valued most. Until I was empty-handed, every glittering toy was lost. And I walked earth's highways grieving in my rags and poverty, till I heard his voice inviting, Lift your empty hands to me. So I held my hands toward heaven, and he filled them with a store of his own transcendent riches till they could contain no more. And at last I comprehended with my stupid mind and dull that God could not pour his riches into empty-handeds already full. What's in your hands that prevents them from being filled with God's riches? Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart. During these times, we're all trying to find ways to cut costs and save the little resources we have. With Smart, it's easy to do that. It's a fact that with Smart, your credit lasts longer. You can call Smart to Smart and Smart to Digi using your promo credit, while with the other guy, you can only call OnNet, Digi, or BTL numbers. What does this mean? You get to call any national number using your promo credit. Your promo credit is free, so that call is also free. Know your facts. Don't be tricked by the other guy. Be smart and save your dollars.
The TV you love is always with you, from live TV, sports, and on-demand titles. Choose your plan today. Plans start as low as $15 per month. My TV, entertainment, anytime, anywhere.
Hello, welcome to Samsung's awesome experience right here in Belize. Come check it out. Not sure which Samsung Galaxy A series is right for you? Touch, play, and learn about your device before you buy. Once you've purchased your device, you can now benefit from the full Samsung service experience.
Your phone is covered by a 1-year local warranty. This includes manufacturer defects and software and hardware issues caused by the manufacturer.
Enjoy your phone with peace of mind knowing that your Galaxy is protected. And when your warranty expires, you can still bring it to our certified Samsung Repair Center. Our technicians will diagnose and repair your device with Samsung original parts and machinery.
Enjoy the Samsung experience when you shop at any of our authorized partners countrywide, including Cellular World, Digi, Odette's Home Center, Debari, Quartz, Shopigas, Gadgets, and Cellular Plus. Join the Samsung experience in Belize today.
Whether you're at home, on the road, at work, or at school, if you see news happening or suspect that something might be up, call or text the Channel 5 News Belize tip line at 672-5555. You don't have to give us your name, just give us the tip. That's 672-5555. Call or text us so we can check it out.
I think you had the absolute best introduction there, talking about the need for healthy eating.
Yes, and so we have a healthy lineup on this table that I'm excited about. But before the healthy lineup, we have some wonderful guests who will be telling us all about these healthy options. We have Sandra Mai with us. She's the operation manager at Fuse Bistro, and we have Minor Hernandez, who is our chef at Fuse Bistro. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start with telling us a bit about Fuse Bistro and the products that you guys offer. Sandra?
Okay, we started with this new product when the pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a business that I think every little entrepreneur started a new business when this pandemic started.
Definitely.
So we started with the granola and with the cocktails.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 different kinds of granolas.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So as you can see, and all our products are organic.
Yeah.
And we get it here from our local farmers.
Okay.
So
locally sourced.
Yes.
All right. All right. Chef Minor, understand that you will be cooking
I'll be
up a
preparing you
concoction
guys yes.
for us this morning.
For a healthy breakfast, that's how we start the morning, right?
Okay.
Your motto,
We
so-
can do cocktails too, don't worry. That's fine with us.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna do some cocktails after breakfast.
Let's come back to it for a moment. The idea of marketing your products for sale. You know, sometimes we make things just for us and for our friends, but then you move towards packaging and ensuring that you could provide to a broader audience. Why was that?
So that we will be exporting this product soon.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
We already
Okay.
get, FDA approved.
We already.
Wow, that's huge.
Oh my gosh, well, congratulations. That's a
you.
process people don't know. Yeah.
So,
So what made you go in that direction, Sandra?
Healthy eating, as you said.
Yeah, yeah.
We need a healthy eating. I mean, we normally, this is a breakfast or a,
can get the chocolate one?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
why I'm holding the chocolate one. You should know. All right.
we started this because, I mean, we need healthy breakfast.
Yeah.
And this is you can have it as a snack as well. And every little ingredient that we use is natural and good for the body.
I see you have an array there. Tell us
Yes.
what's there.
Indeed.
For example, we have the cinnamon, we have the coffee, we have the pepitas, and we have the chocolate.
It's organic chocolate.
It's organic chocolate. As well, we have the coconut, we have almonds, we have peanuts,
Sesame seed.
sesame seed,
Also grown in Belize.
and
sesame seeds grown in Belize?
Yes,
Okay.
we do it from the, well, I get it usually from the southern part of Belize.
Wow,
And
okay.
they toast it over there for us. Usually all our products, we get it from the local farmers market. That will be Belmopan, Cayo District. That's a candied apple.
you can taste it.
You can take a bite.
Wait, but it doesn't look like apple. What'd you do to it?
Right.
It's candied.
Candied apple.
It's candied apple. I did corn syrup, homemade corn syrup.
It's big.
And then I bake it to dehydrate a little hour, and from there you get the texture.
Oh, wow.
And the amazing part here,
Oh, wow.
this one here is the tangerine.
Mm-hmm.
It's also candied.
Mm.
That's for our organic drinks.
This is my new favorite snack. This is delicious.
Yeah.
You can also do strawberries,
Mm-hmm.
pear, or our local fruits. You can also do that. Here we have
really
our
good.
parfait going.
Okay.
Our granola, you can either have it as a parfait, you can either have it just with milk, like just a regular cereal, or just as a snack. It's very healthy. It contains no sugar. It's natural honey.
So let me ask you, you know, when you talk about organic products, it's important that from the farm, it's organic. What's your communication with the farmers who provide your produce?
Well, I try to get from farmers which don't use chemicals.
Okay.
Because then they have no fertilizer, and
Mhm.
it takes time to grow a bit. So that's
Yeah.
100% organic in that way. And that's why the U.S. company actually get interested on when I explain to them, and I get them some samples of how we do our own production. And they said, well, that's great, and everything is locally from grown and made in Belize. In the sense of when I say made in Belize, it will be like the Cayo honey. We
Yeah.
get it from the West.
Okay.
Do nice, natural, pure
Yeah.
honey, no mixture of, no ingredient, other additives into it.
Mhm.
So that's good for our own parfaits here.
Can I just tell you, that apple is so delicious. I can't wait to try anything else. Do you like it?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the tangerine like?
Great.
Yeah?
I will give you some.
Everything is nice. Everything is they're also making parfaits.
Everything is great.
What's your favorite product in the line? I know that's hard to answer, but.
I go more with the nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I more go with the nuts.
With granola nuts.
Yeah.
You know, for our breakfast
And
in
the
the
sangria
morning,
is the best one.
The sangria, all right. I have to try because it's Sandra's favorite.
you have to be a wine lover. We make our own sour wine. So
It's made of a sorrel.
You use sorrel wine for your
I make my own,
sangria?
yes.
Yeah.
As you can see here, we have
great.
dried sorrel flowers.
But that's perfect because it's sweet.
Yes.
Sangria is sweet, so you don't necessarily have to add any sweetener if you use sorrel.
This one here and this one here.
Oh, I'm ready. So this is a sample of what you can do with your
Yes,
granola.
yes.
Some people have granola as a snack.
Yeah.
Some people have granola.
You can use it
with
also
milk.
on baking. You can do granola cookies out of it. Next one is good. You can do granola topping for your cakes.
Yeah.
When you do a buttercream frosting, you can just add it on top of it, which is good. And it's gluten-free. It doesn't contain no kind of base flour, so vegans and vegetarians can approve on that. And then it complements good with our this is the chocolate, Maya Infusion chocolate.
Yeah, I got a bite of
So
chocolate.
organic. As you can see, it's actually
It's a
melting
very
there.
rich granola.
And it contains natural honey. Then
Chocolate,
here,
very
this one
potent.
here is our Caribbean infused, but this is natural
you.
roasted coconut. I roasted on the oven.
So, okay, so let's talk about the flavors that you have for your granola. There is the Caribbean infusion, which has coconut and
Just coconut, and then
Okay.
the regular oats with honey, and then it has cinnamon, sesame seeds in it.
And the ginger.
And the
Not
ginger.
forgetting the ginger.
We have ginger.
All
fresh
our
ginger.
ingredients contain a pinch of ginger.
Fresh ginger.
And then you have crunch nuts.
Yeah, that contains cashew, pepitos, sesame seeds, ginger, peanuts. The cashew we get it from cooketry.
So if you're a nut lover, that's the best one to have.
All right, and then you have the dry fruit.
The dry fruit contains raisin, cranberries, and sesame seeds.
And lastly, what we're having right now, we're already made into a parfait. The Maya infusion,
Perfect.
which includes
What will be yogurt, fruits, will be any local fruits you will have available. It can either be apple, it can be papaya, pineapple, and of course all granola.
Paul scarfing down his breakfast. No, you
How
haven't
did
put
they
it
know
away.
that I was hungry? Yeah.
Now after this, I'm going to prepare for you guys a one of our daiquiri. Our daiquiris, I don't know which one you would like to try, the strawberry or the mango.
Well, let's go with one of your favorites. Well, what seems to be the favorite so far?
I love strawberries, and a lot of people love strawberries more than mango, but the mango has the mango puree, so we have the strawberry here.
No, of course, the strawberries, you can't source them in Belize.
Yeah, so we have to just import it like
Right.
But now we have it available all year round, so that's the
Yeah.
beauty of it.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna make some daiquiri.
So you started with the granola. That's where the business started. But what encouraged or inspired you to get into creating these drinks?
Well, I will mention to you how we started. We started as a bistro in 2018.
Okay.
And we used to sort out our own menu with granolas for breakfast and
Yes.
stuff. And then due to this pandemic, I said, you know what, why not I don't sell the stuff I used to sell on the bistro, just because I will sell it on packaging and you can have it at home.
And so you don't necessarily have that open space.
Exactly,
anymore.
exactly. But we are opening back 2022, sorry. And then we're gonna definitely have a different version of cooking. This time we have our molecular cuisine. I don't know if you've heard about molecular
What is that?
cuisine before.
Molecular cuisine?
Yes. So it will be turning liquid into solid and solid into liquid. You can do airs, edible soil, edible rocks.
What?
So yeah, yes, definitely. I will do some air today.
Sandra, tell me what's going on. I don't know if
I'm
Yeah.
not sure I understand.
So
We
that
will
will
be
be.
offering that this coming year for the people. So I mean, it's a new thing to believe.
Yeah.
But I mean, we need to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I believe we're gonna start slowly, but I mean,
So if you see here,
people will start to learn
I'll be
about
using
it.
our own daiquiri mix,
Yeah.
which you can just buy it on the superstore. You can get it from Belizon, or you can purchase it around who's our suppliers. And then you just have to have ice, a blender, and you can mix it at home.
That's it, because it has alcohol
It
already.
has alcohol
So
already.
everything is ready, you just blend it.
Everything is ready. And also for the non-alcoholic, we have mocktails, which are also daiquiris, but it doesn't have no alcohol in it. Okay. So what usually you do?
So since you have put the products out, what's been the response from the public? Have
It
you
has
been
been a
getting a
good-
lot of,
Good feedback.
yeah?
Good feedback.
You offer delivery service through Belize On, you said.
Yes,
so that means
Belize
anywhere
On.
in the country
Anywhere
people
in the country
can get it.
Yes. Also, if you get it direct from us, from our production plant in Orange Rock, we can send it via BPMS or Tropic Air if you live on the island, so you can get it direct from us too. Good, so I will be blending out
Go
the
ahead.
two.
And then Sandra, there's the sangria, there's the coffee martini. And tell us about your barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce, we have 3 sizes. The small one and this big one. It's made out of orange. We have a little, well, it's our secret. It's not secret anymore.
Sandra, don't make these nerves give out all your secrets, you know. Those nerves will trick you.
And the coffee. And this is a barbecue that, you know that even in your fresh beans you can pour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they like it with fresh beans. It's very nice.
I love barbecue
It's
sauce
not
and
too
fresh
sweet.
beans. It's amazing.
It's not too sweet.
All right. It's not too sweet. No. It has a lot of flavor.
Yes.
Okay.
Understand?
When
it
you
has some
taste
honey
that-
in there.
When you taste that, like your buds start, yeah, it's just nice.
Oh, wow. All right, so we got barbecue sauce, we got an infused Baileys,
Margarita.
we got strawberry daiquiri, mango daiquiri,
Margarita.
margarita. Yeah, all right.
And the sangria.
And the sangria, and this one,
That smaller one.
which would be perfect for breakfast, right?
Breakfast, yes, it's a martini.
Espresso martini.
Martini.
Don't ask me what's in my coffee cup today, right? It's coffee.
It's coffee, yeah.
It's coffee, yeah, exactly. For those
wow.
coffee lovers, you know.
So
It's
what
an
are you going to be
eye-opener.
doing with the candied fruits?
That is for your sangria.
Oh,
that will give the
oh, this is
sweetness
treat.
touch to it. Yeah.
I thought you'd start packaging those. They're delicious.
No. But eventually I will be adding it to our other type of granola we're gonna be making. So,
I mean,
You're going to be adding papaya as well?
papaya,
Which is candied
candied pineapple.
Miner, you're such a genius in the way you seek to create these products using organic ingredients that you source locally. Where did the inspiration come from to have these products and to make these products?
Well, I just came up with the idea. When I had the restaurant, the bistros, we ended up having 3 before the pandemic. I thought we had to close down on March 23rd, basically. I can't remember, I can't forget the date. And basically,
Had to be hard.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Yeah.
You know,
Just opened.
we were in the peak of business.
We just had you on the show, I
Yes,
think, right?
yes.
Yeah, you
That's
just
what
came
that
to
is.
showcase
You can go
your
ahead
work.
and try our
Strawberry
strawberry daiquiri.
Oh, there's more to come, I
Yes.
see. All right.
Now, I know you're waiting for the espresso. Now, this one will have a touch of molecular. So I'm gonna do some air cream for this one.
Some air
cream.
Getting into the science of it.
You know what I love about this? I'm not usually a fan of daiquiris because they're too sweet. This is just, yeah.
touch.
You were going to say?
Yeah. The same thing when I used to go out and have a cocktail, I always ask not too sweet my daiquiri.
And actually,
fruity. Oh, this is good.
We tend to forget that not all the cocktails need to be that sweet.
Yeah. Where all you taste is sugar.
Yeah.
I'll confess, it's my first time having a daiquiri.
Okay.
So
why?
it's not the
That's
first
a whole
thing.
other
It's not the
conversation.
first thing I'd order, you know. But I mean, introduction-wise, being the first time, it's really good.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying that.
so that means next time you drink a next martini, you have to ask for fused martini.
Ah.
Daiquiri.
Daiquiri, yeah.
And that's because you
Have you
haven't
been
tried
able to get restaurants to use it as well?
Not as yet, but you know, when it comes to restaurants, competition is there for the taste of your own cocktails.
Okay.
So basically, will be more our signature cocktails for fused drinks.
Okay. And for
No.
people to enjoy at
Enjoy
home.
it at home. I mean,
Yeah.
why wait in a bar for so long for just a daiquiri? You can have it at home.
Right.
Yeah.
We have 3 different sizes. I hope I don't do this here.
350, 500, and 1 liter. And in the sangria, we offer the gallon, and on special request by bucket.
Okay.
The barbecue sauce by
So
gallon.
you can buy a whole bucket of sangria?
Yes. In fact, we have an order for a wedding next month.
And they're ordering a bucket.
All right, it could be just they just want it for the weekend, but we're calling it a wedding, right?
Like for a wedding, or Christmas. We also have the gallon. We also have the gallon. And also for our sangria, we can also have them on special request with non-alcoholic, how I told you.
Right.
So those will omit the wine. So
Okay.
instead of sorrel wine, we'll be putting just the regular sorrel juice.
Okay.
And the other ingredients we'll have, no?
In terms of, I'm not sure if you want to share, but in terms of the price range, how reasonable, how affordable are your products?
Well, our products like the 250 ml, let's say for the margarita, of course, it has tequila. And the agave, it's very a little bit costly. So basically that is for $16 for the 350 ml. But with one bottle of those, if you like it just the classic, and then you want to just put it in your refrigerator and put it to chill and you drink it on the rocks, you can take out up to 2.5 drinks from it.
With just this one.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the 500 ml, you can take out up to 4. Then the liter, then of course you can take out to 8 to 9. And if you're having a little get together at home and then you want to just enjoy some. Same thing as the sangria there. The small bottle is for 15. We have the 500 ml for 20 and the liter for 30.
Okay. So you also have strawberry margarita as well?
Yes.
Okay.
But I didn't bring none
And
today.
mango and strawberry daiquiri.
And then we have the Baileys, which is organic chocolate and organic coffee.
Yeah, this would go good with your martini.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to be able to see the wide range of products that you've come up with, and you went with a healthy snack or breakfast for people, right up to their favorite sauce and cocktails. Yeah. What else is in store? As you said, you're moving towards exporting now. What else do you have in store?
Well, we're trying to work out with some organic spices. Like instead of buying, I know everybody knows about Goya and the Tones or the Badia products, so I want to do my own organic, like the consomme. You can use it for vegans and vegetarians without having any animal products in it. So you can go ahead.
Oh, so you're gonna do spices next.
Spices next.
All right.
And then, like I told you, we're gonna be opening our
restaurant
again, the Fuse Bistro, but now it's named Grace Bistro.
It's named
Grace Bistro.
Grace Bistro.
Yeah.
And you're aiming for next year?
Yes, hopefully. A project is already going on, so it will be. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's.
He's doing some kind of secret there. I have no idea what's going on, right?
So even after the renaming of the bistro, there won't be any rebranding of your products per se. You'll still find that Infused Bistro brand.
It's
on your
Grace.
product.
It's Grace by Fuse Bistro, so everybody can find it out.
All right.
And actually, right now, at the moment, we're offering catering and banquets, like for conferences and this Christmas party. Sometimes you're gonna have to have a luncheon for the staff for your Christmas.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna use the martini. It's already have alcohol.
Espresso
You can either have it as in vodka or in gin if you're a gin lover.
So I'm not sure what it is. What it is so what the
espresso
martini.
It's coffee.
It's coffee martini.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Where you just add ice.
Again, it's a new for me. I've never heard of anything like this.
Have you been surprised by the feedback you've gotten so far?
Yes, I mean, we have good feedbacks, and then like how I bring out these new products out there. Like people go like, amazing. I mean, have you ever tried? Then you can get a martini with coffee.
Yeah, right.
It's a special.
It's
cocktail.
a special boost for your morning. You wake up feeling a bit cranky. Wake up feeling a bit cranky. You need that extra boost.
Here.
You have to go deal with an annoying
like for the
boss
hangover,
or coworker.
like for the hangover on a Monday morning. So we have here.
Oh, did you add something to that?
No. This is freshly brewed organic coffee we got it from Spice Farm. And
just the shaking.
I know.
Okay.
And I think they're cutting you short.
No, we can add more. You see, it gets foamy inside.
Okay.
Okay, so.
All right, so as we wrap that one up, let's talk about where you can get the products.
You can get it on Belize On, like how we mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And then in San Ignacio, you can get it at Sansco Supermarket. And the production plant, or well, actually where we do the products, is in Orange Walk.
Okay.
Okay, we moved from San Ignacio, so we're living now currently in Orange Walk.
All right, so people can be able to place that order. And as you said, there's what you have here, but you also have more available as well.
So here we have some cream air, which is basically just
Cream
evaporated
air.
milk. Okay, like you say you want a latte, but in a glass you can get your martini with some.
I could really pretend as if I'm having coffee with
It
this.
is
I mean,
coffee.
It
It
is
is.
coffee. It
Right,
is
so there's
coffee.
no pretending.
No, you are having coffee, just with alcohol. And you say you make it either with gin or with vodka?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, it floats. Should float. Yeah, it floats. So it's the air that makes it
It's
float.
the foam. There you go.
There you go. Sorry.
Ooh, look at that.
And
It's
it's
so
just-
pretty. Let's see if you can get a shot at this one.
That's
Here you
our new line. Also, we're making the molecular cuisine and mixology.
Can you see that?
Oh,
how
wow.
it falls?
It's
Yeah.
volcanic.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter.
All right.
Tastes well.
Well, guys, we are out of time. I know
Sure.
there's a
I
lot
definitely-
more to sample, but it has been such a pleasure to find out more about your products. It's all been delicious so far. And so the people who are looking for Belizean organic products, they can check out Fused Bistro.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for coming
Thank
in.
you also, Marlene, for having us here, and thank you also, Mr. Paul. So we'll see you next time. I'll invite you guys for the grand opening of the molecular cuisine.
Perfect. That's where we could try the other product.
Definitely, definitely. Cheers.
All right, cheers. We're going to
Cheers.
take that final break.
Life can be tough when a loved one suddenly departs. Dependents of the deceased are sometimes left alone to pick up the pieces and may be stranded financially. Fortunately, the Social Security Board provides survivor's benefit to ease the burden. Survivor's benefit is paid to a widow or widower, children under 18 years, or up to 21 years if attending school, or dependent parents. A survivor's benefit can be either a grant or a pension. Want to know more about Survivor's Benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
Vaccines protect you and they protect me. Getting vaccinated is one of the most important things you can do to keep yourself and your family safe and healthy. Once enough people are immunized, opportunities for an outbreak of disease becomes very low. And if we all choose to get vaccinated, we contribute in getting back to spending quality time with our loved ones in a safe way.
Hey son, how was your first day at Sixth Form?
Really cool. It was great to see my friends, and I really love my teachers.
I'm so happy to hear that. I'm sorry I wasn't there for your first day, but I'll be back from Corozal next week.
It's okay, Dad. I can't wait to see you. Oh, and please remember, I still have some books I need to purchase.
Ah, yes. Let me e-cash you that right now. Money has been sent. I add a little extra cash just for you.
Whoa, Dad. Thanks. Got it.
You're welcome, sir.
Download the eCash app today and take your first step into a cashless lifestyle. For more information, visit www.e-cash.com or contact us via WhatsApp at 613-0257. eCash, the future is here.
When something is good and you can save, that makes it even better. Like this guy, he buys Flex bundles using his promo credit. No worries when his primary credit is finished. He gets talk, text, and data for free. Or her, she calls her family internationally with her promo credit. And with data packages so affordable, she even does video calls. Smart continues to offer great deals and affordable promotions. As a small business owner, she saves when she uses her promo credit to call the other guys. All Smart customers enjoy more triple days and knowing they can use their promo credit, which just lasts longer. Smart, bringing people together.
And we're back. I finished my breakfast, so I'm good to go for the rest of the day. I enjoyed my Fused Bistro Parfait. And we want to thank Sandra and Minor for coming in and telling us about their wide array of products. Once again, another business that has had to pivot during the pandemic. They started off with a bistro, realized quickly that with the pandemic, they'd have to shift to something else. They moved into their own line of organic products with ingredients sourced from Belize. And you can definitely, I can say, the granola is absolutely delicious. That's what I had for breakfast. I know Paul finished his espresso martini, so his supervisor will be well aware. But
I think they're doing so well, Marlene, and absolutely all of the products that we got to try this morning for me is absolutely amazing. And the ones that we didn't get to try, I'm sure they're just as good. The people behind these products, they seem to be passionate about what they're doing, and that's a plus.
Yeah, absolutely. We also want to thank our other guests for coming in this morning. The Belize Cancer Society, the Dangrega Cancer Center, and cancer survivor Chelsea Munoz. Cancer Awareness Month wraps up in October, but we must be aware of the early signs of cancer and the prevention that we can take all year round. So we want to thank them for coming in and providing that update. And the Belize Cancer Society, in partnership with the Dangrega Cancer Center, should be opening their treatment center here in Belize City, actually right behind us here at Channel 5, in the next few weeks.
And definitely last but not least, we want to thank the president of the Public Service Union, Mr. Dean Flowers, for having that first conversation with us to start the morning with regards to the dilemma with GOB and the DHS. And of course, he raised a number of other issues that the union has a pulse on, that they're concerned about, and that they're looking at with regards to GOB and certain processes.
Yeah. All right, but that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you'd like to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, and on Instagram
at OIE Belize.
Remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, please.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.